guys, Jay here. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Again, this is something I've done before with other props, stuff that's not up here. I've done this with my Noel guns and my Sword Art Online Hollow Realization Scimitar. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's whatever, it's the curvy blade thing that I did. It's like blue and silver and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so this is going to be similar to that because I don't have any actual footage of me making this because, well, I didn't take any. I didn't even know if this was going to work. So I went through a couple iterations and I finally came out with something that I liked, but that is my new Final Fantasy VII Remake Buster Sword. Now this is not painted, obviously. This is just all the foam and all of that stuff untouched other than the build. I haven't gotten around to painting it yet because I wanted to get this video out this week, but this is more of just me talking about it. And with all of the raw foam here, you can kind of see more along the lines of what I did. And there's something else I wanted to talk about, and that is this stuff. This is Foam Mo. It's an EVA clay. It's really cool. It turns into foam when it dries. I've never used it before, but I decided to pick some up and see how it worked, and I like it. I'm probably going to have a video about this the next time I do a video. That's like going to be the next video out in a week or two. So it depends on how long it takes something to dry. From what I've seen on YouTube, it takes about a week for something big to dry, but something that's nice and small, it's only like a day or two, depending on how big it is. But I'll go more into that later. But let's talk about the Buster Sword that I just finished. Well, the build of, anyway. The build is completely finished. All I need to do is paint it now. And the little materia things I can actually take out, but I'll explain what they are, because they're not little spheres. But we'll get into that in just a minute. Anyway, let's point the camera down at this so we can see all of it. You're not going to get all of it in shot, so I'm going to have to move it around. And I got to put it on foam because I don't want anything getting destroyed on my table, like flattening out or anything. So I have foam that goes like up to here so that it doesn't hit this because it's a raised detail. I don't want it to squish that. And then I have it also from like just the handle part because I don't want it squishing any of this stuff or what's on the end here. So I just have it sitting a certain way, so I want to just keep it that way. But anyway, like I said, let's point the camera down and I'll talk about it. Alright, so I'm going to try and get as good of an angle as I can. This is pretty much it. Like I've said before, I need these to be a certain distance apart so that this way the bottom end of the handguard and the bottom end of this don't touch the table because it can squish, and I don't want that. Anyway, so let's talk about how I made this now. This is going to be a little bit long, just like the other ones. Just bear with me. So I did do a couple iterations of this. One of them didn't really work out really well the way I was wanting it to, but the other one I have was like super thick. So you're not going to be able to see this very well, but it's how thin it is. This is about 1.25 inches thick, which is still a little thicker than I would like, but it's way better than what I had, which was like 2 inches, or just over 2 inches. Like, I think it's like 2 1/5 or something like that. So that's way too thick, and it was too heavy, didn't like it, so I decided to go a different route. So this is my different route, and it's so much better. So onto the actual process of what I did. So somewhere in here, like way down here somewhere, I'm not exactly sure where, I think probably around here or so, or here, there's a seam inside of it. There's 2 floor mats like this stuff, the puzzle mats, and I cut them so they had edges like this, but you know, flat edges obviously. This one's kind of curved, but flat edges, and then I glued them together the right length. And I just cut out the blade face, not the bevel. So it's from here, like, yeah, around here, back. That's all I cut out. And then, well, I cut out all of it and then cut that off of it, obviously. Then I made a channel up the center, and then I cut all the rest off. But so there's a channel that goes up the center that has a dowel in it. And I didn't put the dowel in until after I finished the build, because I'll explain that later in just a moment. It's just easier to work with when I don't have a big dowel coming off the end hitting things. It's just much easier to slide it in later. After I made that big thing with the channel in it, there was 2 pieces of foam. I skinned that in thin cardboard. I used some boxes that I found for like $3 at Lowe's, and I made them the same size. There was just the face without a bevel, skinned it in that, and then made a second layer. And these are on both sides, by the way, so everything I'm saying happened on both sides. So times everything by 2 other than the foam in the center, because there's a foam layer and then everything builds out from there on each side. So the second cardboard layer I did make with the bevel in it, and I scored it in just like my other one. That's how I made my old one. It's all like masking taped up, and you can see all the masking tape, and it's really ugly, but there's nothing I can do about it. But so I made it with the bevel the same way I did that, where I scored it in and then bent it so that it was a straight line, and I used a ruler and, you know, all that kind of stuff to make a straight line. And then I used spray glue, which is this stuff, this great stuff, gaps and cracks. That's what I use whenever I need to use spray foam. So what that does is you spray it in, and it's kind of foamy a little bit, like liquid foam, kind of, like foam soap almost. And then it expands and hardens into tough, durable foam, and it's supposed to go in insulation and stuff like that in your walls, but we use it for this stuff. So I spread it all inside there and then closed it up with masking tape and laid some stuff on it so that it didn't rip up off the cardboard and stuff like that, so that it would stay flat. And the other one I didn't do that to, and so it bulges on the area right here. This bulges a lot on the old one because I didn't put anything there. So instead I learned my lesson, put something there so it didn't do that, so it doesn't bulge anymore. Then on top of that, I skinned it with 2mm Yayahan EVA foam. And this thing, the, I guess, hinge, whatever, for the material holder is the only thing that I didn't make out of Yayahan EVA foam. This is out of just like regular craft foam because the sheets are small enough. The rest of it, everything else that's black, was all made with Yayahan EVA foam. And in 2mm, and then the things here, these are 5mm, and this is 5mm, and you know, the bigger ones are 5. I didn't use any 10, basically. Everything is 5mm and 2mm. So anyway, like I said, I skinned the cardboard with 2mm EVA foam from the Yayahan collection, and then that was the full size. And I ended up having to cut it, and I'll explain why there's all this gray there in just a moment. That's actually that foam mow I was talking about earlier, and I'll explain that when I get to it. But then, you can't tell here, but this, let me see if I can do this. This is a separate piece. This whole thing here, from the bevel to the back, is a completely separate thing. So because I made it bigger than 40 inches, which I believe it's about 42 and a half, something like that, I can only use 40 inches because that's how big the foam sheets are. So I made sure that there were the 2 inches that were left were going to be what I needed for the end here. So I just did all my math to make sure I had it all right. It is shorter than it needs to be. It does need to be about 5 or 6 inches taller, but I couldn't do that because I don't have long enough foam. If you buy from TNT Cosplay, or if you can find bigger than 40-inch sheets of EVA foam that's 2mm, you can do this to the right size. Everywhere else is like 60 inches. The Yayahan stuff is the only stuff I've found so far that's 40. Don't know why. So I just cut it to the size I needed, skinned it on top, and then I had a pattern for all the score marks. I don't know how well you can see them on camera, but I scored in all of that. That goes all the way down to the cardboard, and it cuts into the cardboard a little. I could hear myself cutting into the cardboard, so I know it goes further than just the 2 layers of foam. And I used a heat gun to open it up. That's basically all you have to do there. And then this is just layers. I just made 2 that were the full size, cut out 2 holes, made sure that the one under it was a little bit smaller so that I could curve this down a little bit so it has this little bevel to it, because I did look on the trailers, it does have a bevel in it. I didn't know that at first, so I had to remake this entire piece like 5 times before I finally got one that at least looks semi-good. So this is the bad side, I think. The good side, I believe, is the other side, which is the side that you'd be seeing more, but whatever. And then this is just another layer that's just cut to the right size and has the right, you know, cutouts in it. And then I just traced it out, made a trim, and put it on. Called it good. So I did that to both sides, and then skinned the back, because the back needed to be skinned, which I also need to do some more cuts that I forgot. So I'll do that before I forget, before it gets too late. And then it's going to be hard to push this over. So now we're going to talk about the handguard a little bit. So the handguard is literally a box that's like filled with foam. What I should have done to make this a lot lighter was make a hollow box and then fill it with this spray foam. That would have been so much better and lighter, but it's too late now and I didn't think about it and everything's glued together, so I can't do anything about it. So it's just a box that's 4, is it 4? Yeah, 4 layers deep, and the 2 inner layers are about to here-ish. They meet up somewhere in the middle there. This piece and the inside of the box meet up in the middle. So there's like a divot inside. And then I just skinned the outside and the top and bottom, and then I used 5mm EVA foam from, again, the Yayahan collection, and just lined the top and bottom all the way around, and then beveled them with a Dremel because they are kind of rounded in the trailers. So, and I wanted them to match these. And since I'm mentioning them, I might as well talk about them. These are just dowels. They're foam dowels that you can get also from Joann's in the same area that the EVA foam is in. The Yayahan stuff, it's in her little, it's a little thing like a display, and these are on the bottom. So I have the 10mm and the 15mm, and the 15mm is cut in half lengthwise. And then there's 5mm foam just on the bottom of here to fill it out. And then this sits on top of that so that it's raised a little bit. And then the 10mm is just put straight down on the cardboard because this is the end of that 40mm foam, and it's just straight onto the cardboard. So these things here, I was going to do the same thing as these, where I could take the middle out and then I could just set it down and just glue it directly to it. And these were like smaller versions. They weren't. I thought they were, but they weren't. There was nothing I could do about it. I already opened them and started using them, so I can't take them back, and they were like $5, so I'm not going to waste them. And they're the right size, and they work. So these didn't want to stay together. The inside piece wanted to come out all the time, and it didn't stay in. I don't know how they work. It's really weird. So I used them closed to press down, make a pattern in there, and then I cut into it, and then used a heat gun to open it up a little bit. So you super glue and then push these into the holes, basically. The bottom of the cross guard, I don't know how well you can see this, but there's little, I don't know what these are called. They go on the bottom of most cross guards. I think it's like a thing so that your hand doesn't go too high up or something. I'm not sure. But it's just 5mm foam wrapped around it, and then a 10mm foam dowel cut in half lengthwise and wrapped around that because I thought it looked cool. It's round and it kind of matched these on the other side. I don't think it's there, but it looks cool. So now I have to turn the camera. So the handle is a PVC pipe that is Gorilla Glued onto the wooden dowel. Oh, I should mention that wooden dowel thing I was talking about earlier. I literally had to jam the dowel into the sword. It was horrible. So I don't even know if it goes up all the way. Whatever. That's why I was saying I'll talk about it later. I have no idea where it stopped at, but I had to press it down. Like I had to hold the sides of it and press it into it on the ground. And like press down into it to push it up. And it was squeaking because it was just like that tight in there. So I have no idea how far up it is. Then I just made sure it was cut to the right size, which is about here-ish. I didn't want it to go all the way down. It didn't really matter. And then everything got Gorilla Glued in and, you know, stuff like that. All the regular gluing stuff. This is just duct tape. Just red duct tape that I found. Use hockey tape if you can. We just couldn't find any. Like, we literally have nowhere that sells hockey tape, and it's really weird. So, or even like tennis racket tape or something. I can only find white or black, I think. And I can't find red anywhere. No matter where I go. All the sports stores don't have them. I have no idea. So I just use duct tape. That's what I did with my other one. It'll be fine. By the way, the dowel and the PVC pipe are 3/4 inch. And for the dowel, 3/4 inch is the inside of it. So this inside diameter here, this inside wall, that's 3/4 inch. And the outside wall is just about an inch. And the 3/4 inch dowel fits right inside that just snugly. It doesn't need anything. The tape I have actually kind of curled into it where it goes over and curls inside, which tightens the hold a little bit, which holds the dowel in place even better. So I don't have to worry about it. But there probably is some give in there. But whatever, it's all Gorilla Glued, I don't care. And then I Gorilla Glued this on. This is a 1-inch cap for 1-inch PVC pipe. I added a bunch of tape until it was snug on there, and then Gorilla Glued it on, and then added 2 strips of 2mm foam to it. Also, sand these before you put anything on them. They don't take the glue very well or paint when they're not sanded. It just likes to rub right off, so make sure you do that. And now on to the very last part, the materia. Now you can probably tell, there's nothing I can do, but you can probably tell these aren't spheres. There's obviously, if there's a dowel running up here, there's no hole going through it. That's impossible. which is why I had to do it this way. So these are, yeah, so well, they're taped in right now. I'm going to paint it before I actually put them in, but they're like these, like I just showed you. They're little buttons that you sew on. I took the little thing out of it, the thing where you sew it on, so that they're flat on the bottom, and I can glue them in, and I just painted them with red and green because those are the two materia I used to have. I used to have a red and a green glowing materia, so those are my two favorites, so I put those in there. I don't know. Eventually I can put stuff that lights up in there if I really want to. I just don't care right now. Like later on I could cut into here even more if I wanted to. I made sure that there's nothing here that I can't cut through, so if I want to cut really deep I can. I can also cut all the way through down to the dowel. If I want to add things that need to go in really deep, I can do that. I just made sure that it was easy to do stuff in there. Anyway, but that's all these are, and I just have one on each side. Well, two on each side, but one of each color on each side. So that's how I did that. And actually, that wasn't last. The last thing I should be talking about is all the gray that's on here. This is that EVA foam clay stuff that I just mentioned. This foam-mo stuff. I'll link to this in the description. It's actually pretty cool. I might have a video on it later. My next video actually might be on it. So I didn't know how it was going to work, and I was really afraid because I almost ruined this entire project. I used scissors, knives, Dremel, everything on this edge because it was all overhang that I had to cut off from the foam, from this piece of foam here. I needed to cut off the leftover. Everything kept giving me like gouges, and it really sucked. And it still doesn't look that great, but it's much less noticeable right now, and I need to fix right there. That's really noticeable, and it's annoying. Anyway, so I used that foam clay stuff all over the front of here. You wet it to make it work better. Just use like water on your hands, and then I just like did that basically to it, but really hard, and tried to press it in. It didn't go like flush with it very well, but I used a sanding block and just sanded across it when it was dry. And I did that yesterday, well, okay, the day before I'm filming this, and it was dry enough when I did it, so it was only a day. And so I just went across it, and it took off all the excess, which I didn't need, but it left the edge, and it made it so much smoother. It was so much more worse than this, and you can really see where all these didn't get taken out. That's where all the gouges were. That's horrible. So it is so much better than it was, and I'm so much more happy with that. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. If you like it, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. Maybe I'll do some more videos like this on some of my older props. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I do have other stuff that I haven't shown on this channel that I can do this type of thing to, if you guys want to know. I can probably flash some pictures of while I'm talking about this. And if you guys want to see any videos like this of those, so you can see how I made them, but without having actual footage because there's just nothing I can do about it, let me know and I'll do ones for those too. So anyway, that is it for this, and I'll see you guys later.